Okay, so at the 1976 Summer Olympic Games in Montreal, Canada became the first ever country to have never won a gold medal during an Olympics at home. And then we did it again a decade later when we did not earn a gold medal at the 1988 Calgary Winter Olympics. Today though, things are pretty different. A Canadian is NBA MVP, we have one of the top female swimmers on earth, we win at rugby and hammer throw and just about everything in between. Canada's roster at the 2026 Milan Cortina Winter Olympic Games is filled with stars. So what changed? How did we get here? Let me spell it out for you. So what changed? It can all be really boiled down to a shift in philosophy, and with that, money. Lots and lots of money. When Canada hosted its first Olympic Games in 1976, it was a small population with a small pot of money. Funding for amateur sports was generally spread across national sport organizations. It was kind of an egalitarian approach, but it was also for elite amateur athletes. Quickly here, I'm using the phrase elite amateur athletes. This is key, as many, but not all, Olympic athletes are not professionals. That means their sport is not a career. They are not earning enough to have their sport be their primary commitment in life and likely juggle a job or other source of income, and that depends largely on the sport. Like, it's more common to be a professional hockey player than it is to be a professional in bobsled. But paid year-round or not, these athletes are still the best, hence elite amateur athletes. And that egalitarian approach that we talked about began to shift in 2003 when it was announced that Vancouver would be the host of the 2010 Winter Olympic Games. That was when a new organization called Own the Podium was launched. It had an infusion of $110 million from government and corporate sources. It also had a simple mission: help Canada win more overall medals than anyone in 2010. That led to what is known as targeted funding for athletes. In short, if you showed potential to reach the podium, you would be in line to receive more funding. With that mindset shift, B210, a private organization, also began providing funds for athletes. How? Say you were a high-level bobsledder, but your sled was starting to break down. B210 would provide cash for a new ride, along with an action plan and other forms of support. And it also started supporting sport organizations to better serve their members. So how did it all play out in Vancouver? Canada did in fact win more gold medals than any other country. So as the philosophy started to take root, so did the success of Canadian athletes. Canadians became known for more than just hockey. Not that there's anything wrong with that, we love hockey. At the 2022 Winter Games in Beijing, Canadian athletes won 26 medals. That placed Canada 4th on the overall medal table, one spot ahead of the United States. And friendly reminder, the US has 10 times the population of Canada. And look, none of this to say that Canada's elite amateur athletes are now wealthy. In fact, the opposite is often true. CanFund is an organization that solicits donations to support athletes with direct cash infusions. According to its data, many of Canada's top athletes are forced to spend more than they make each year just to compete. The average Canadian cross-country skier, according to CanFund, will end the year more than $16,000 in the red. Figure skaters, bobsledders, and alpine skiers are also working at a loss. Even so, they will not be working to lose at the 2026 Milan Cortina Winter Olympic Games. There will be Canadian gold medal hopefuls in venues all across northern Italy. Curling, women's hockey, men's hockey, short track and long track speed skating. On the slopes and on the ice, Canadians are gold medal hopefuls all across the Winter Games. In the not-so-distant past, there used to be a saying around Canadians and the Olympic medal podium. 4th place is Canadian bronze, they used to say. It meant that when the top 3 finishers got their medals, Canada settled for moral victories, or 4th place. So the question this winter isn't who will be chasing Canadian bronze, but rather who is going to be taking home a gold medal, and how many gold medals is Canada gonna take home? Much better. I'm Kel, this is Spelled Out. Thank you so much for watching. And for more great content like this, be sure to follow along. Thank you.